You were talking a little bit about changing perspective so that you could be done with something that might have felt like a burden. What I'd like to know is, what was my intention coming into this physical experience? I have a tendency to look at it as something that I have to overcome, and it feels like something that's been bad, and I would love to change my perspective on it.
A lot of people have picked that up along the way because there have been so many people who have surrounded so many of you who have wanted to feel good but couldn't because you wouldn't behave. So they make up all kinds of rules that say, you need to keep these rules so that we can feel better. And for some reason, you bought into that. And the result of that is, because almost everybody has a different requirement of you, then you come away from it sort of confused about who you're supposed to be. And out of that is born this pervasive philosophy that says, I was born broken. I was born inferior. And I was sent here in order to improve who I am so that I could then be better. And we say nothing could be further from the reason that you came forth into this physical experience. When you decide that you're going to go on a vacation, do you announce to your friends, I'm going to find some noble cause and perform it on my vacation? Do you say to your friends, I have enormous character flaws that I hope to work out of myself while I'm on this vacation?
No.
Do you say, I'm going to go on a campaign of making the world a better place. That is the purpose for my vacation. Or do you go on vacation because you want to have a good time? Do you go on vacation because you want to be stimulated to some new thoughts, that you want life to flow through you in a more abundant way? And you were born into this experience with the same attitude that you go on vacation. This ought to be fun. Let's see what's up with this. What new stimulation of thought is going to evoke from me a feeling of being more alive?
Taking the vacation thing. If I wanted to go on vacation to a wintry place, Colorado, and skiing every day in a nice little home in the mountains, that would be fine. But I feel like my winter vacation was like a clothing optional beach in Antarctica. I mean, that's how it feels. It's sort of like something so extreme. What's the point of having that?
Well, we see a lot of you who are not exactly vacation feeling. But the reason is because you have all of this responsibility that you are dragging around. In other words, you're out here trying to overcome your unworthiness, and you're out here trying to decide who has the truth about what things, and then you're out here trying to decide how you can get more of the world to agree with you about your truth, and more importantly, how you can put down the lies that the others are living. Most of you have lost your personal orientation about what this life experience is about. It's about joy. It's about an opportunity to expose yourself to new experience. It's about sitting in a restaurant and looking at a waterfall for the first time and enjoying the sound and the thrill of the waterfall. And it's about seeing the bird fly by and the thrill of the fly landing on your nose.
So could bitter cold be something that I could now look at as, wow, what an adventure that was?
Well, the way we would look at bitter cold is, bitter cold was advantageous to me only in the sense that it helped me to realize I want something that is more comfortable. And if I can trust Abraham at all, and this new desire has been born within me, then warmer, more comfortable environment is on the way to me.
But isn't that kind of obvious? Why go through bitter cold to find out something that...
You're the one who's cold. We've been asking the same question. In other words, it's not the way it was set up. You said, I'll go forth into this environment and I can think whatever thoughts I choose. And Source Energy says, and whatever thoughts you choose will manifest around you to help you know what thoughts you are choosing. And Source Energy says, you've got guidance within you that will let you know. So as you choose the thought that feels good, good will manifest from it. So this is all logical to you now. The question that we can feel bubbling in there is, how come I have to be this old in order to be now making sense of this? When I was little, why couldn't I guide my life more effectively? And we want to say to you, you didn't get that cold and it hasn't been that long. And from your broader perspective, you knew it would be worth it. Look, here you are in this prime time of your life with all of these new determinations bubbling within you. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would stop trying to figure out why things weren't better before and take the knowledge that you now hold and decide what you want to do. We'd start using that left brain of yours to focus upon what you want and then use that right brain of yours. We really don't like that terminology. We're just humoring we would think and feel and think and feel and think and feel and think and feel. In other words, we would use our powerful now and the responsive universe to show ourselves how good life can be now. Mm-hmm. You see, if you didn't live in a responsive universe, we might be willing to wallow in the past with you longer. But you have a responsive universe that's going to give you immediate feedback on where you direct your thoughts and immediate emotional response. So that's like someone saying, Abraham, I hit myself over the head with a hammer yesterday, and I hated it, but I kept doing it. And when I woke up this morning, I picked up the hammer and I hit myself some more. And I don't like it, but I did it yesterday and I'm doing it today, and I'm probably going to do it tomorrow. And we say, all right. And you say, but shouldn't the universe be better organized so that I wouldn't do that? And the reason that we give it to you in that blatantly dramatic fashion is because we want you to understand that nothing ever happened to you, ever. You did it all to yourself. Everything that happened, even when you were a baby, everything happened in response to the vibration that you were emitting. Now you might say, well, I wouldn't have hit myself over the head with the hammer if it hadn't been there. Somebody left it there. And I saw somebody else hitting themselves over the head with the hammer, so I thought it was the appropriate behavior, so I started doing it too. And we say, but didn't it hurt? And you say, yeah, it hurt a lot. And we say, there, that's guidance. And so the question that we really want to ask everyone is, at what point did you get separated from your ability to say, this hurts me? I don't want to do this. This hurts me. And different ones of you have different degrees of willingness to endure, you see. So you come to a gathering like this where we teach you to be picky, 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 picky. We wouldn't put up with discomfort at all. But we wouldn't demand that somebody else do something about it. We'd tweak our own thought. We'd tweak our own thought until we feel better, feel better, feel better.
Well, so when you're a little person and your environment doesn't feel good and you recognize that it doesn't feel good, it's really hard to pack up your bags and go live with someone else. So I feel like that seems like kind of us.
Well, today, you have not heard us encourage anyone to pack up their bags and go live with someone else. Right. We've encouraged every one of you to stay right where you feel you have no other choice of staying, but to find some way of looking at it that feels better to you. And that's exactly what all children in those situations do.
What I'm wondering is, did I come here knowing that that was going to be my environment? And if so, why go there? Because the benefit of the desire that you knew would be born out of it in your decision to come outweighed any discomfort that you thought was potentially there. And because you knew you had guidance within you, and because you knew it would be a temporary situation, and because you knew it would be the basis from which you would launch much more physical experience, and because you knew that you were a creator on the leading edge of thought, and you wanted the opportunity to make your own decisions, it's a little bit like, from a place of feeling strong and invincible, let's look at a firefighter. Have you watched any of them lately? They put on clothes that are uncomfortable and heavy to wear, and they parachute into areas that are very inconvenient, and sometimes very unpleasant and even dangerous. And they do it because they are thrilled with the idea of the invincibility and capability of their being. Okay.
And so then someone who wouldn't go anywhere near something like that. Jerry marvels at football players. He'll turn the television on and see these big men running into each other, and then almost every time he'll look at Esther and he'll say, they're doing that on purpose. It's just beyond him that they would put themselves through that.
Yeah.
He said, I was hit like that once and I didn't like it. And I didn't go back for more. And he is astonished that they do it on purpose. And we say, so why do they do it on purpose? Because they've trained themselves to be strong and they've trained themselves to be good at it. And there are rewards that outweigh the pain and inconvenience of it. And so you all come into this life experience not intending to be battered about, but saying the benefit of this contrasting experience far outweighs any momentary discomfort I might feel while I'm getting my sea legs as I am realigning with my guidance. Yeah. Not one of you said, I think I'll go forth and be born into this miserable family where I'll be lost. Not one of you says, I think I'll go forth and be born into an abusive family where I will lose my total sense of who I am and I will live a miserable life forevermore. Not one of you ever said that. You feel invincible from your non-physical perspective. And it's only from a physical feeling of not feeling so invincible that you begin asking those questions. And we certainly understand it. And it's hard for us to answer them in any really meaningful way because we still feel invincible on your behalf. And so we often don't give you answers that you can get your teeth into at all because we want to say, just cause. You came just cause it's fun to be here and you came because you knew that the potential was joy. And then many of you say, but it hasn't been that much fun. And we say, well, then that's your doing. And then we're nowhere because we want you to return to your feeling of invincibility, but you're the only one who can do it. We can't zap you with it. We can remind you of it. We can tell you stories about it. We can point to others. We can coax you up the emotional scale. And in time, it is our promise to you that you'll return to this glorious place of self-sufficiency and utter feeling of well-being, and you will bless every miserable moment you've had along your way because all of it is part of who you have become, you see.
Yes. Good.